Hello, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube. This is Travis Semulin's Hours, and we are buckling in for a best of three Kaladesh draft on MTG Arena. If you'd like to watch the drafting live, you can do so at www.twitch.tv/Semulin. People are going to nitpick me because I'm picking a Hunt the Week here, and they're going to be like, but Ram's expertise, and but Winding Constrictor, and but Daring Demolition. I have a preference for green. I like to play green in this format. This may not surprise people. I know I'm going to walk away from this pack with a good removal spell, right? Because it's either Demolition or Hunt the Week for me. I haven't found that 4 mana for 3/1/1s is particularly good. And I also haven't found that first picking a gold card does much for me. This is a very good card. And if I see it like third or fourth, I'll take it. But there's very few packs I'll first pick this out of. For me, this pack comes down to Hunt the Week, Daring Demolition, or Attune with Aether. And I love Hunt the Week. One of the big reasons why I like green so much, so YouTube doesn't know this, the people watching in chat have. This is the third time I've been past a Monstrous Onslaught. The last two drafts we did with Monstrous Onslaught were 3-0s. I'm assuming people don't read this or don't understand. So Monstrous Onslaught deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control as you cast this spell. The as you cast this spell part is very important. That means if they bounce your dude in response, or they kill your dude in response, it doesn't matter. You're still getting the damage. If you have a 5/5 in play, this is 5 mana for 5 damage divided however you want. We've had decks with 2 of these. This is Rabid Bite their team, and they can't interact with it. Like, they can still kill your dude, but they're not stopping the damage. So, like, as long as people are going to pass this, I'm going to play green in Kaladesh. We had a green-red deck that went 3-0 and a green-white deck that went 3-0. I don't really care what the other color is. This pack is interesting because it's got Propeller Pioneer and Die Young, and these are both cards that I'm somewhat interested in. The Glint Sleeve Artisan is also very good. I think Propeller Pioneer gives us things we don't have access to. I may get forced out of green, but it would really surprise me if the person passing Monstrous Onslaught picked a green card over it. It's possible. But yeah, I'm down for a Propeller Pioneer. It's a good card. Well, that's the trick, Scotty. You go wide and you have green chonkers. Yeah, fair. Green Gearhulk would be the card to take over it. Now, this I don't value particularly much. The cards I'm looking at here are still the Rallier, because, I mean, a 3/2 isn't terrible, but in most decks, this is a worst Herald of the Fair. Generally speaking, I'm looking for about the same amount of 2-drops you'd usually have. If I'm playing green, I really want them to be the 1/3s. But I think here I probably need to lean into Die Young. It's not the world's best removal spell, but it's something. And if we end up in green-white, this can do something later, but it's not absurd. How much do you value sending signals in this format? Very little. Because there's so many people that are playing this that didn't play the original Kaladesh and don't know what cards are actually good and not. So I try to draft what I'm getting past and just pick the best cards. Like here, all of a sudden, things may be changing a bit. Gearseeker Serpent was first pickable out of some packs. It is a rare. It's a 1/1 flyer for 1. Yeah, Revolt's a lot harder to use than you would initially think, and people may not know that if they didn't play Aether Revolt originally. I'm going to take the Gearseeker Serpent and see where we can go with this, because green-blue is one of my favorite things to play. Well, then there was Mr. Dawnfeather, or Mrs. Dawnfeather. There's also a Fab module, but I think the last draft I did for YouTube, I went into dirtily shenanigans. This Dawnfeather Eagle is like, just take me, play green-white, win the video game. You just needed to evaluate the cards as if they didn't have Revolt and then recognize that sometimes they would. Good morning, Tommy. A few of the cards were worth trying to trigger, but most of them just weren't and didn't. I think we're probably green-white. This is actually decent in green-white if you're giving something flying, but I still don't really want it here. The Dragster's all right, but like we're going to need some 2-drops. This is a reasonable 2-drop. It's mostly a 2/2. The one I remember was the Renegade in black. Yeah, the 5-mana 4/4 just kind of sucks. It's so hard to get triggered. Like, you can do it once against an opponent who hasn't played the set when you attack in for trades, but usually you ain't getting away with that. Remember Nerd Ape? I remember Nerd Ape. I'm going to take the P-Foul despite not thinking that I'm playing blue, because Gearseeker Serpent is that good, and if blue's actually open, we can swap into blue-white. Because I still think getting past a Monstrous Onslaught should signal that green is open, but if it's not, it's not, and that's okay. Well, it could mean that green is open this way. It could also mean that maybe we want to look at like a 2-pack green-black deck. What? Let's talk. I did a lot of dirtly stuff in Kaladesh and Aether Revolt, but could also do stupid aggro things too. Nothing wrong with a Bastion Mastodon, regardless of what deck we're playing. YouTube has probably heard me chat a few times about how much I like this card. Northbridge Prowler sucks. I can play in any deck. Well, Northbridge Prowler isn't necessarily the worst. I get this confused with the one that taps to deal damage to stuff. Like, it's possible we're actually green-black. Let's see where this goes. That's a Fragmentize and a Leave in the Dust. Heck am I supposed to be playing? Alright, next pack. I need you to give me a sign. So Marionette Master's not bad. It does play nicely with Winding Constrictor. Green at least should be open this direction. I passed 0 green cards. I still have a feeling I'm supposed to be green-white. So I feel pretty comfortable taking another Monstrous Onslaught. If I actually end up in green-black, the Marionette Master may have been better. But there's a possibility that I should just play the green-white deck I'm getting past and be happy about it. Because this Augmenter is pretty dang nice, too. It's a Borderland Minotaur, except you can spread it out if you want to. This is a really hard draft for me to read. But I think I'm supposed to be doing this. I'm continuing to see very little green. Is there a world where we're just blue-white? Because if I swap into blue-white, I'm losing a lot of good spells. I see that. But I also get to play the Gearseeker Serpent with all of these Fabricators. And the Spire Patrol's not bad. That's possible, but I really need one more pack to figure it out. And I don't know that I can make a safe pick here. Because we're losing a ton of value in the blue-white deck if I don't take this Spire Patrol. But I think I have to, and then we'll see what's actually open here. Yeah, Aether Meltdown is not bad. Leaving the Dust is not bad. I could take the Attune with Aether. and think that I'm still doing this. But if I don't get big creatures in green, the Monstrous Onslaught is not as interesting as you would think that it is. If blue's open, I'll see more blue. I'm going to try forcing this for one more pack. Okay, and I don't feel too bad about it. We've got a thriving Rhino here. So at this point, I kind of just need to shore up the early game, which is not hard. There's plenty of 2/2s for 2 in this set. And there's one. And if I have to make this work with something like an Ironclad Crusher, I can probably do that too. Stonkpile? Stonkpile is not bad. I really don't want to play the Tiger, though. I think what I need to make sure I have more than anything is actually a Monster Trog, which feels kind of weird. And I may or may not splash for this. We'll see. But I need to make sure I have something big enough to trigger these onslaughts consistently. This pack makes me sad. Like, really sad. Because I'm not playing any of it. I don't want a 2-mana 1/1. I guess we take a Drake in case I have to swap out of the green. Alright, this is not a great 2-drop, but we could use a 2-drop. Same thing here. Not a great 2-drop, but we can use it, and it can drive a truck. Because we're kind of just looking for like 2s and 3s now, and we can party. Malfunction's a decent removal spell. I think I was supposed to be blue-white, but I still think I'd rather have a deck with 2 onslaughts in it. And if this has to be my other big thing, it can be. The problem is it's a 5-mana 4/4, but it can attack as a 6/6 trampler once. You kind of need to attack first and then use it with Onslaught. Otherwise, it's just a worst Bastion Mastodon. I don't know that we're going wide enough to use an Inspired Charge. But I don't think I need to prioritize Oatmeal Courage that highly. It's more like a bunch of tow trucks lined up behind each other, Scotty, if you think about it. Or if they're Transformers, that kind of works too, fair. That's Amore. That's also Amore. So there's really no reason for us to be playing green if you look at what we have here. So we could consider getting into the blue because we've opened an Aether Takedown, which is a pretty good bounce spell in this format. You can bounce one of your own things with an Enter the Battlefield ability and then replay it, as well as bounce something your opponent has. Probably don't need the Spire Patrol at this point. I could consider the Aeronaut, but I think I'd rather just take the Hunt the Wake here. Because I'm probably just playing this over a forest to go with the Rhino, and I'm probably not splashing this now. I need just a couple 3s. Ideally, it would be 2 more Thriving Rhinos. If I have to do something weird, like, didn't we get one of those 3/2s? I don't have it yet. Gosh, there's another Dawn Feather Eagle, another... I want all of these. I want literally all of these. The second Dawn Feather gives me a real plan, though. But I really like this dude. Like, you want to go wide? You can go really wide. But I think the second Dawn Feather makes more sense. Somebody is really poaching green, because we haven't seen any of the 1/3s. Okay, this is fine too, but I'm starting to have some problems with my curve and that it doesn't really start until much later. Kibbles and Bits was pretty decent. But, I mean, obviously not worth splashing or going into now. But now I just want to fix this part of the curve. We need, what, 5 more creatures? I had people that scooped to him. Yeah, this feels weird because I want to take the airdrop area knots, but I kind of can't. I'm also confused as to why there's a welding sporks here. Because that's really good too. And I don't think we had any indication that red was open. But I need to just take a Narnum Cobra of Sadness. Like these are the Gearhulk and the Eagle are really good. I need to make sure we're alive long enough to draw them. Cobra is particularly bad in this format. I want you all to understand that. Because it's a world of servo tokens. And in such a world, it's not great. Am I really going to be playing 3 Narnum Cobras? Because I'd really like to think I'm not going to be playing 3 Narnum Cobras. I'm going to take the Wanderer. There's some possibility we need to do a splash to pull this together. Because like if I have to, I could play that in a Sailback or a Spire Patrol. Really need a few more creatures, but I'm going to eat my oatmeal here. At this point, I'll just take anything that fits in this curve. Like the Pill Bug. Come on in, buddy. Shining example of green not being open. But also being open. I don't understand, because I got to take this. Huh. What a world. What a cruel, cruel world. Where we're playing pill bugs and weldfast monitors that we can't activate. Oh, hallelujah. I've never been so happy to see a Herald of the Fair. Green-black might have been stronger, but I'm not unhappy with where we ended up. I kind of need one more card. And it could be an Oatmeal Courage. Well, I kind of need 2 more cards, frankly. Because I want to just play this over a land. So we could play an Oatmeal Courage and maybe just jam one of these in here and be okay with it. The Constrictor's not even that good here. It usually is easier late in the draft, but we got some pretty bad 3-drops. With my top-heavy curve? What are you talking about? The curve stops at 5. How is that top-heavy? I've got 4 2s, 4 3s, 4 4s, 4 5s. That's not a top-heavy curve. I have 6 5+ drops. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4. No, we're not looking to double spell. We're looking to get 2-for-1s. Which I think we can certainly do. So spells don't count in your curve. Like, you're not turn 5ing Monstrous Onslaught. If you're turn 4ing Hunt the Wake, things are a little weird. And I don't think you're turn 1ing Oatmeal Courage very often. But you guys understand that. I don't think this is top heavy. It's just, it doesn't curve. Yeah, it's a line. Fair. This is not as good as the last 2 decks we had, but it's not terrible either. It figures I'd have 2 3-0s, then decide to do the YouTube draft. Be like, what? Are we good to stream raid? 74 of us for 4 skull? I don't think we got that. I'll do this during size boarding. Let you guys get your last units placed. This is just a deck that has very powerful cards in it, but also very bad cards in it. So it's kind of like, hopefully we can curve out and stay alive until I draw the good stuff. Maybe it's good that if all the YouTube drafts are actually bad, because it'll encourage them, like, to come watch the stream if they want to see me win. It's a tank on roller skates, kinda. It'll work. It's just not as strong as some of the ones we've had before. But I mean, the green-red one didn't look that good, but I knew that it was. Destructive tampering with 5 power dudes is pretty good. That was pretty good. Hulk smash. Hulk is apparently smashed too good. They classy arena. Remember, in Magic Online, people could rope you for 10 minutes. And we got moments like Skill Zero U. I am okay with all of that. So while this is happening, it's a good time to mention that we are doing a bit of a big boy push for streaming in November. I set some kind of crazy goals for us, and frankly, I thought we would be hitting the 500 one towards the end of the month. That's what I anticipated. But so far, what are the points that count? You see the cat head above me. That's how many sub points we have. The little marching bolus monk is how many sales we have in Stream Raiders. We'll do a Stream Raiders battle right now. When those numbers equal 300, we will add an hour to each weekday stream. We've already done that. When they equal 400, we'll do 8-hour Saturday streams. You may notice that it's Saturday and I'm streaming. We've already done that. On 500, another hour to every weekday stream. So every weekday in November, I'm streaming for 10 hours with 8 hours on Saturdays. We've also unlocked the 600 reward, which was a 24-hour stream on November 30th. I will be doing that. The only thing we have left is at 800, Simwife gives me a buzz cut at the end of the 24-hour stream. She ordered the clippers yesterday. Miori with the kills, Ans with the assists. Scrolls for Neural Thon, Fort, Miori, and gold for Quintus. And like, I want to thank all of you guys and gals for making this happen. Because again, I didn't think we'd get to the 24-hour one. I thought that probably wasn't happening. Did they scoop the game? I guess that's just how good the Gear Hulk is, yo. Or maybe they disconnected. Maybe their computer accidentally got unplugged when I cast the Gear Hulk, I guess. But like, thank you guys and gals for making my dreams come true. I love streaming. This is what I want to be doing. And after this month, I don't think there's any reason why I wouldn't continue to do this in perpetuity. So thank you guys and gals. The trick is I'm going to have to come up with more incentives next time when I'm already bald. Like, what can we do? Grow hair? Obviously not. I can't do that. Grow beard? I haven't shaved in a week because I've been sick and you can't tell. Like, I'm really bad at beard growing. Yeah, but then I'd have to have an ugly beard for like 3 months. I don't want to do that. Shave my eyebrows. Just one? Maybe we could finally design the Sim Cube at a certain point. Hey, Vimental. Thank you very much for the Prime sub. Y'all spam some cats for Mental. Thank you, my friend. They are going to learn something valuable about Hunt the Wake. And now they know. Thank you, Vimental. That puts us... We're actually at 607 now. Alright, so maybe I'll have to block if I can literally never draw a land. I wanted to draw a land, but... the snake has death touch if you spend a green. They keep passing Monstrous Onslaught. We opened one. I don't think we drafted enough lands, though, is really our only challenge. This is really not ideal. I'd like to keep some sort of board state if I can. But I'm not really in a position to be able to do that. Yeah, I think I just need to trade off what I have and try to recover. The Propeller Pioneer wouldn't be the worst. I imagine they attack here, but it's kind of need lands and we can stabilize. Look at the block here, so we're not gonna pump this instead. I leave him with a 2/5 reach. I'm actually okay with them having a 2/5 reach now that I think about it. They didn't seem to like that. You were right, Henry. I thought they'd have been fine with it, but they weren't. A lot of people doing very aggressive draft stratagems, but I think we're okay. I have been known for keeping sketchy hands, but even I am not interested in this one. If this was in this is not hurting us, because if this was a forest, I still wouldn't keep it. This one we can go for, though. I think we probably send back, sadly, my favorite card in the set. I'm terrified they're going to play a Thriving Rhino here, and I don't have anything next turn, so I really can't block that. If I can just last a little bit longer, this Augmenter will get me out of a lot of trouble. Maybe they'll hunt the Wicked again. That's considerably worse. I mean, for me, not for them. It's pretty good for them. Oh, I can't do that. Well, then I guess that makes this a little easier. That, and I think the deck generally wants to go wide. In most cases, with the Fabricate cards, you're better off going wide than not. Six, 7? Okay. Yeah, this may as well be a 2/2 if we're going to block the Death Toucher. Well, generally speaking, you should be choosing to make the tokens. I think I'd like it if they didn't have a big creature, and then we can kind of start going from there. What's up, Jess? Rule of thumb, fabricate is counter. No, a good rule of thumb is fabricate is not counter. And then there's some exceptions where you'd want to change that. But generally speaking, you don't want the counters. Most decks would, like, if you could choose to have a 3/3 or a 2/2 and a 1/1, most scenarios you would prefer to have the split. Now, the exception comes in when you may need to, when you're attacking. But if you're like anywhere near behind, you definitively don't want to be doing that. I like that sequencing. Like, if you're always putting counters on your guys, you're always setting yourself up to not have leftover value if they kill it. Like, they'll trade the same on blocks. I'd say there needs to be a reason for you to want to put a counter on the creature. If there's no reason in your hand or deck for you to want to do that, then it's an easy just go wide, right? Like, let's say you have an Armorcraft Judge. Okay, you have a decision to make. Yes, yes. So if you've got a Hunt the Week, right, and they have something else in play, you may need to make a different decision. I think I read what you said wrong, Amorek. Okay, I didn't. I think there are cases where you pick the counter, but in my experience, generally you don't do it. But, you know, perhaps that means that it doesn't make as much of a difference as we think. Now, I tend to play mid-range decks, which may be part of that. They're looking to fabricate something out. The scary black fabricator is 7 mana. They're not casting it next turn. Okay, well that is something you can fabricate out, but it's not something I'm typically concerned about being fabricated out. Because without the goggles, it's a 2/2. An aggro deck might be more likely to want the counter, yes. Ooh, that sucks. A lot of people learning how vehicles work. Vehicles, as they say around here. Like, I remember this guy. You could play it in this style deck. The problem is green-black wasn't an improvised deck. So you kind of bump into some problems when you're doing that. It sort of could be, but you'd want to have the fin hauler, I believe, because those fins aren't going to haul themselves. Suppose it's a Semulin hauler? They put me on the play? Okay. Wouldn't mind another land or 3. But we'll take what we can get. Here's a situation where I'm thinking about not making the token, because I think we need to kill them in the air. But I think a flying counter is more valuable than the token. Like, even with the Dawnfeather Eagle in hand, it's not like I'm going to be able to pump the token big enough to get through a pill bug. That onslaught's pretty good, huh? Give me land. I think I just want an 8/8. Because that makes a really awkward turn for them. But no, that doesn't make sense. This gets me 2 5/5s, which is enough to block this and sort of be able to deal with the repercussions. If I make an 8/8 though and don't die, If I make an 8/8 and don't die, I can do more with the Monstrous Onslaught. I think that's actually what I want. Because this means their best bet is to move the goggles over here and get an attack in. And I can take 8. Like, I can just pretty happily onslaught this. I don't need a 2-for-1 here. I just need this to be dead. There you go. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, thank you for watching another Kaladesh draft video. We managed to get the 3-0 for YouTube this time. Nice. That puts us 9-0 on the day in Kaladesh, which I'm kind of digging. If you would like to watch the drafts live, you can do so at www.twitch.tv/Semulin. We will see you next time.